Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to do an update on Birds of Prey. You know, that Harley Quinn movie that's coming out this weekend that nobody seems to really care about. Well,
no, according to them, it's going to be a big global box office because they have to count the global in there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the early reviews for Birds of Prey. We're going to talk about how this is one of the only cases I've seen where they keep talking about the global box office, not what it's tracking for this weekend. Last time I checked, I think it was between 40 and 50 million US is what it was tracking for. But now they're saying global, it's going to do 110 to 120 million, which is still significantly less than Shazam, which up until this point was the lowest performing DC movie.
I just think it's funny they're saying it's going to do this bigger amount, but they're trying to sneak that global in there. So you think it's going to be this big amount without realizing that's the global amount.
Like, wow, it's going to break 100 million this weekend globally. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the early reactions on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people who hated the Joker movie, loved Birds of Prey. A lot of comic book fans who had problems with the designs are basically being told, you know, it's okay, it's not that bad, because Rotten Tomatoes reviews are in. Rotten Tomatoes can always be trusted.
Oh, that's right, because Rotten Tomatoes, you know, honestly, you could wipe your ass with Rotten Tomatoes. Even the audience score anymore, because they're cheating that now, too. So, I mean, I just wouldn't listen to Rotten Tomatoes at all.
I wouldn't wipe my ass with a Rotten Tomato. That could be uncomfortable, that could be unsanitary, and it probably would not help your...
Like the website.
Smell.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's going to be very uncomfortable. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We are over 92,000 subs, hoping for 100,000 soon, and we have no intention of going to see Birds of Prey this weekend because it's not actually a Birds of Prey movie. It's a Harley Quinn solo movie with a bunch of characters that are named after Birds of Prey characters that don't look or act anything like their comic book incarnations.
I mean, it could be a good movie. My problem with it is the hypocrisy. My problem with it is the hypocrisy of, they're like, oh, Harley Quinn, it's the best thing. It's emancipation. It's a feminism movie. And it's pretty much like what Joker was. But Joker wasn't about, you know, mental health issues and you know, standing up for yourself. It was about white male rage. But this isn't about white female rage. This is about, you know, emancipation.
Yeah, we call it emancipation if the shoe's on the other
I call it a killing spree. Same thing.
Yeah, Comic Book Resources said, according to Deadline, Birds of Prey is projected to open to 110 to 120 million worldwide, putting it just below Shazam, which opened in April last year, to 158 million worldwide. Now, what they're not saying is the domestic. Shazam was a little above 50 million domestic, which at that point was actually the lowest performing DCEU movie. They're trying to make it look like we're not comparing apples to apples here. They don't want it to look as dire as it might be, because that actually has dropped. That number has dropped. There are talks about how the tickets aren't selling. I've seen this floating around on Twitter that there are tons and tons and tons of empty seats for this movie. I think it's probably going to do like 40-ish million domestic, but they're going to make it look better. $120 million, that's pretty good. If you take into consideration global box office, you know, it's still going to be the lowest performing DCEU movie. There's been virtually no marketing for this movie either, which is weird. Like, you're not seeing commercials for it.
Yeah.
You know, nobody seems to care. People, even when we did our first video on it talking about the tracking, people were like, is that out? Is that coming out? I thought it came out later this year. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fail, isn't it?
That's what happened again with Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
We saw the exact same thing with Charlie's Angels. And, you know, in it, you know, I think they're banking on Harley Quinn and her name. That's why it's Birds of Prey, the emancipation of Harley Quinn. They're banking on Harley Quinn to bring it up. And it might, but
it's just a Harley Quinn solo movie. It's, you know, just make a Harley Quinn solo movie. Why do you have to drag the Birds of Prey into it? They were around before Harley Quinn was even a thing in the comics.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know? But that's what they're doing. But yeah, people are talking about how it's this is Cosmic Book News showing that there are tons and tons of seats available for crickets, nothing. And I've seen a lot of these floating around Twitter that there are a lot of empty seats.
Whoa.
And you know, again, people just, they don't care. They don't know the movie's coming out. You know, so it is what it is, but it's going to be a pretty low opening. It also is a sequel to Suicide Squad, which a lot of people didn't like, or kind of a sequel. I don't know what the hell is going on.
I honestly don't know enough about it. I mean, it could end up being a good movie. I honestly don't know. I know it's not a movie I want to go see, so I will openly admit it's not for me, and I'm not going to give it my money because I have no desire to see this. Absolutely zero desire to see this. I know it's not for kids. So my daughter's not going to go see this even though she wants to. The answer is no, she is not going to see this. But I don't know. My issue, like I said, well, they put her in like the Venus.
Yeah.
The Botticelli. Oh, whatever. My issue with it is the double standard. That's my issue. It's pretty much just the flip side of the coin, and they're trying to say it's a completely different coin, and that's not true. So that's my problem with it.
Yeah, now it's interesting. Some of the reviews that are being counted as positive. I know I watched part of Grace Randolph's review this morning, and she's actually the one who pointed out on Twitter. She's like, "Hey, why are they counting global box office? This is unusual. Usually we talk about domestic and then we talk about global after the fact." But she watched it. She said it wasn't quite the train wreck she expected, but it definitely wasn't a good movie either. She's like, "I'll tip it a little bit. I have to give it, a rotten or a fresh." And she's like, just barely gets a fresh from me because she's certified. But she's like, I know they're going to run with it and be like, "Oh, look at all the rave reviews," when a lot of people were on the fence about whether or not it was a good movie. Some people are doing it, giving it a good review, I think, just because it's the anti-Joker. And that seems to be coming up a lot.
When it's a woman, it's emancipation. When it's Joker, it's white male rage.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just saying, when it's a man, it's white male rage. When it's a female, it's emancipation. Rage. She stopped doing that.
I love this one. This is coming from San Francisco. Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn is more than horrible. It should not exist.
Zero out of 4.
0 stars. Wow. Movies don't get any worse than Birds of Prey. This is the bottom. But then everybody's going to talk about how amazing the Rotten Tomatoes scores are. And like I said, there are people out there, and we've seen this happen before with other shows, in other movies too, where you're like, how is that a positive? How are they counting this as a positive? Unless you come right out and say, I absolutely loathe this movie and there's not one redeeming factor in it, a lot of times they'll count it as a positive review. So you have to look at the actual reviews.
Well, you have to understand too that when you look at the if you go to Rotten Tomatoes here, and then if you go, where's the hold on, I might have to go back. They have like an about section. I don't know if it's on this yet, but they have information like they'll tell you, we only counted the critic scores of this much and higher. We only counted the regular scores. So even if you're a critic giving it a 0, you probably won't have your score count because they won't count it unless it's above a certain number.
Yeah, well, in this case, 0 stars.
Yeah, so they won't get counted.
1.5 out of 4.
Probably won't get counted.
Barely gets off the ground.
Because for whatever reason, if you get the highest levels can count, but the lowest scores don't, and it's absolutely skewed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know. I mean, this is really a mixed bag. But I mean, we saw some of the people talking about like, this is the female empowering movie we've all been waiting for, everybody, which immediately tells men to stay home. Anytime you have, we saw this.
Well, they didn't tell men to stay home this time. Like other movies made that mistake, and then they did. Then they complained. Misogynists didn't come see it. Well, you told them you didn't want them there. What were they were supposed to show up anyway. I'm like, if you say, hey, we're having a party, you're not supposed to come, and I don't go because you tell me not to come, and then your party bombs, and you blame it on me for not coming, I'd be like, you told me not to come. So
yeah. I just, it's a little too close to Suicide Squad in one all-important regard. Take away Harley Quinn and you've got no movie. Why don't they just give her a solo movie? Why do they keep
now, this is a solo movie.
This basically is a Harley Quinn solo movie. So, I don't know. Again, the movie could be good, but it's weird. A couple things to note. I mean, the lack of marketing tells me that Warner Brothers executives don't have a lot of confidence, I don't think, in this movie.
They're banking on the name Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and I think they don't want to overshadow Joker, because in this movie, I don't know if she kills a Joker off or something like that.
I have no idea.
It's not Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, it's Jared Leto's, his Joker can go die in a fire, I don't care. He wasn't the Joker. But, yeah, this is just, it's going to be interesting to see how it does this weekend. For sure. But there are some really, it's like people are not really on the fence. Most of them, they're either like, this is the best thing ever, or this movie is trash.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're saying the success may depend on the word of mouth from Cosmic Book News. tracking in North America has the opening around 50 or 55 million, which is a huge stretch. I don't think so. I think it's going to do like 40. I mean, nobody even knows this movie's coming out.
Let's be honest here, and I'm not. People accuse me of making the argument they made for Deadpool. I'm not making those arguments. What I'm saying is, the majority of people who would go to see a Harley Quinn movie are kids. They have marketed Harley Quinn to kids a lot.
Yeah.
I'm talking teenagers too. I'm not talking like little kids. I'm talking like in general across the spectrum. They've marketed it to 18 and under, or we'll say 17 under because 18 is adult. 17 and under heavily. So like my daughter's 12 and she's like, "Oh, Harley Quinn, I want to go." And we're like, "Hell no, you're not going to see this movie."
Yeah, you're not going to.
So I think that was, they made this a hard R, which is fine. I'm just saying I hope parents understand it's a hard R and they don't take their kids to see this.
Parents were taking their kids to Suicide Squad, but that was PG-13.
Suicide Squad wasn't as bad as this is going to be.
No, but
this is hard R.
But because of Harley Quinn.
Right, because like, oh, my daughter has Harley Quinn shirts because they sell them in the kids section at Walmart. And my daughter has the Harley Quinn DC Superhero Girls doll. So, and I bought the Harley Quinn books from the book fair, So they're like, my daughter loves Harley Quinn. And there are a lot of little girls that like Harley Quinn. But they like the tame version of Harley Quinn that they're presented with. This is not that version. So, this is not an argument that they shouldn't make this movie. No, they totally should make this movie. I mean, people, if they have kids and their kids are mad, well, that's just too bad. Suck it up. But, don't take your kids to see this movie because it's not for children.
Yeah, well, you always get parents, though, that take their kids to R-rated movies, and then they're all shocked that the movie was...
that bad. I can't wrap my head around it. It's like when you get in, like, you see the amusement parks all the time, too. They tell you this ride. They put signs up everywhere telling you this ride is, what's exactly involved. And then the kids get on the ride, and they're terrified. And it's like, well, they told you.
Oh, my God.
The dinosaurs that you're thinking about?
Yeah, okay, so this is a true story. Me and Squid King, love Dinosaur, and Disney World's one of our favorite rides. And there's a mom with like a 4 or 5-year-old little girl trying to talk her into going on there. "Oh, you get to see some dinosaurs, honey. It's going to be fine. It's Disney. It's not that scary." Meanwhile, they have multiple signs talking about the shock effect of this ride.
And the lights, flashing lights.
And the lights.
And noises, and it's loud.
And she's the whole time going through the line, "It's okay, it's Disney. It's not going to be scary. Everything's fine. It's just dinosaurs. It's just like going to a museum. It's just like Barney. You like Barney, right?"
She said that?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, my God.
And so we're going through the line, and Squid King and I are looking at each other like, "Oh, my God, she has no idea. She has no idea."
Didn't you try to tell her?
We tried to, like, I didn't want to... It's one of those awkward, like, I hope they overhear what I'm saying. Because you don't want to be rude and actually, like, "Excuse me, ma'am, but this ride is absolutely horrifying and your child's going to be scarred for life." Because I felt like it wasn't my place. But, talking to Squid King, like, "Yeah, when that giant carnosaur jumps out and screams in your face, that's pretty shocking, isn't it?" And crickets, and she just looked kind of annoyed. I'm like, "Whatever, you pay the therapy bills."
Well, they got off the ride, and the girl was just absolutely...
She screeched the entire ride.
She was just absolutely...
She was terrified.
We had the same thing when they used to have Alien Encounter, and I don't know if people are familiar with it. Before they had the Horrible Stitch thing, they had Alien Encounter, and it was very intense. It was very intense.
Yeah.
My sister and I were like freaked, and I mean, now I'm not like, "Oh my God, I can never go on." And we'd be like, "Let's go again," but it was very intense, and there were these people in the same situation taking little kids in, and we actually were saying like, it's really not for little kids. Like, I forget how we did it, but we were and they acted like, "Oh, what do you know?" Freak the kids out. Kids were freaking out. Crying, sobbing hysterically. The trip was ruined because mom and dad don't listen. That's like this movie. Do not take your children to see Harley Quinn. This movie.
Because we don't want them crying and sobbing.
Yeah, it's a hard R, guys. They're saying it's hard R. It's not like, "Oh, kids, it's only an R because they say the F word." No, it's a hard R movie. Do not take your children to this movie.
Now, this is going to be really interesting because it's not opening in China. And Shazam made 43 million of its. It made like a sixth of its money.
So China's not going to let this one run.
No.
There. Well, honestly, are any movies really running in China right now? Even if China would air it, run it in theaters, I don't know how many people would go because people are not. They're closing theaters down right now.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It does seem like though with China, there's a couple things going on. One, it does seem like China's not supporting the American motion picture industry like they were before. We've seen kind of a decline in the Chinese box office for American pictures. Meanwhile, their own stuff is doing better and better and better. So I'm kind of wondering if they're not changing. I mean, we saw that the Joker broke $1 billion without China, and China just completely failed Star Wars. Like, they don't care. So I'm kind of wondering if we aren't going to stop making movies that pander to Chinese audiences, because what's the point?
Right.
You know, but this one's not playing in China, and Shazam actually made a pretty good chunk of change in China. So I don't know.
Well, Shazam was about family, and it wasn't like hard R. So
yeah, and that's the thing too. I think they're used to the PG-13. They had the Deadpool, they had the PG-13 cut, I guess, over there. But they're used to a PG-13 superhero movie thing, and this just I don't think this is gonna play in any shape or form over there, just like Joker. But it doesn't seem like Warner Brothers is supporting it either. No. I mean, there's very little marketing. People said that they see bus wraps and they're seeing billboards and stuff for it. I haven't seen anything like that.
But we live where we live, and that's not going to happen here. So.
No, I know, but I'm saying like going to bigger cities and stuff. We didn't. I didn't see anything when
we were in Orlando, but we weren't actually looking for it either. So
no, that's true. Nobody's looking for it. That's the problem.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it might be a good movie. I'm not going to see it. It's not a movie for me, and that's just because I don't like this kind of movie. But I'm also really, really annoyed by the double standard. That more than anything is what turns me off to this is this whole double standard where when it's women it's emancipation, when it's men it's white male rage.
Yeah.
She's a white woman doing worse, but you know what, whatever.
Yeah.
Boobs make it okay, I guess.
Boobs make everything.
As long as you're a man looking at the boobs, then it's problematic. So
that's true. So I guess we're gonna wrap this one up. We'll probably do a post-mortem on Birds of Prey.
We'll follow it.
I think we're going to follow it just to see how it does. But again, I think some of it does come down to the marketing and a lack thereof. So we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.